Welcome one, welcome all. We'll start shortly. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to wait about 3 more minutes before everybody else joins us, and we can start our webinar on keyword research done right by a lead seller. So feel free to hop in chat on Facebook or here on Zoom. You can start posting some questions. We'll be glad to answer that in just a little bit. And while we're waiting, again, you can feel free to type in the Facebook chat or on Zoom chat. And just tell us your experience using Reverse ASIN Plus. Have you been using it lately? Do you use it often? Are you using it for your keyword research? If not, why aren't you? It's one of the best tools that we have on our platform. And we'll show you a wonderful way how to utilize it for your product launches, product relaunches, keyword research, everything. All right. Betty, you want to share your screen?
Sure. 1 second, please. Perfect. So welcome again, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on this Reverse ASIN Plus Keyword Research Done Right webinar or Q&A section. So let's get right into it. So we would like to get started by telling you how this module is meant to work. So the Reverse ASIN Plus module is the best and fastest way to get or to do keyword research, as we will give you really good and relevant keywords. So this is making the process of finding good keywords really, really easy. We will give you a list of the most relevant, profitable, indexed, harvest, suggested, and used keywords on Amazon with any significant search volume above 10 to 50 times. So these are all really, really good keywords, and we used a 30 days time range. So we have really good historical data and fresh information always. The list that we can generate of keywords will be based on a primary keyword, which is your root keyword, the keyword that is related to your product, which describes it the best. We recommend using a short tail keyword, and multiple competitors' ASINs, in which you can also include your ASIN to see how good are you doing against the competitors. So let's get started, Josh.
So I'll share my screen. Fantastic. Let me just hide some of this. And with normal reverse ASIN tools on other softwares, they use the tried and traditional product that everybody else uses, which is a garlic press. So we're actually going to avoid that. We're going to flip the script, and we're going to do something that's pretty cool and unique that I found the other day. So in this instance right over here, when you hop in your Reverse ASIN Plus, this is where you're going to put your seed keyword. The seed keyword usually is the root keyword that all other keywords are going to stem off of. You can choose your marketplace right over here. So again, we're in 8 different marketplaces right now. This is your rank where you can adjust it up or down. And this is your relevancy factor. So based off of that, you can put in your seed keyword right over here. And as you can see, we have mason jar soap dispenser. It's a little bit long tail. But what we can do is that we just hit the search button, which is going to bring up a visualizer. And this is all the keywords that are indexed on page 1 and of our scraper, which is going to allow us to see specifically what products that we want to go after. So in this instance, I'm going to go after all the ones that are single. Don't need to go after pairs, don't need to go after pumps. Grab all these.
In this section, you can take from 5 to 20 competitor ASINs or even include your product. So you have a really good, you have a lot of options to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, let me grab a couple more. It's not really a mason jar. This one is similar to the mason jar, and I'm going to grab some sets of 2 as well. Let's go back. We don't really need to grab the kits. Those aren't really relevant, but they're indexing for that keyword. And I think that's good. We'll just stop at 17. I know it's an odd number, but we can go up to 20. So once you grab all the listings that you want to do the reverse ASIN on, you just hit the gear right over here. It's just going to run the scrape, and then we'll start to explain all the data that we have over here.
So for all of those ASINs that Joshua just clicked on, we will tell you where have they ranked and what keywords have they used to rank in the selected positions, which are 300.
And then if we scroll right down here to the bottom, let me see, shouldn't freeze. Okay, perfect. So we can see that we've been able to pull 4,644 keywords based off of these 17 ASINs. What we can do is we can determine what the relevancy is based off of this information right over here. And relevancy in this example are the keywords that are actively ranking across the board for these particular products. When you see a score of 100, that means all 17 ASINs are actually actively ranking for this keyword, and it is a highly relevant keyword. That means that this is a definite keyword to actually go after. Now, when it comes to search volume, this is the exact search volume. We're actually using this information based off our internal tool that's able to actually scrape this data to determine within a rolling 30-day check what the exact number is based off of these keywords. And again, when it comes to broad, this is the broad example, again, using our 30-day check to be able to scrape this information. Products competing between. But do you want to give a little bit of information on products competing between?
Of course. So when you go to Amazon and put any search term, just as mason jar, soap, dispenser, Amazon will tell you, okay, these are the products that match this keyword. So out of 10,000 products, they are using, these 10,000 products are using this keyword. So how many products you can find with that keyword, basically. Mm-hmm. The next columns for price, reviews, and rating. This is the average of the results that you can find in the first page on Amazon when you use this search term. So this is the average of the most relevant products as they are in the first page.
Then what about reviews?
Same. So we are doing the average of the reviews across all of the products in the first place, in the first page, and same thing for the rating.
Perfect. So if we just scroll over to the right off of this search, and this is without factoring in relevancy or rank, we can start to see some numbers that pop up at the top. And what this is indicating based off of our tool is what was the highest position that they were able to achieve on a rolling 30-day check. So for this particular ASIN right over here, when it came to mason jar soap dispenser, they placed second in the last 30 days. This one right over here, this ASIN that's ending in 4H2, it placed first. And this one right over here, this was 11th. And you'll start to see, even right down here on hand soap dispenser, some of these are not applicable. That means that they're not relevant for that keyword. So based off of this initial search with this data right over here, we can actually determine where the gaps are in between the competition of these 17 ASINs and how relevant they are based off of this list of 4,000 keywords. Now let's factor in a couple of things. Let's factor in relevancy, and let's set our relevancy score to just a bare minimum of 40. We're just going to run another search. All right, right off the bat, we cleaned up this list. If we scroll down again, we can see that we cleaned it up to 153 relevant keywords. And as we scroll through, we can start to see our relevancy score. So if you ever just hover over this, hover over the percentage, this is going to tell you how many of these ASINs are actively relevant for this particular keyword. In this case, it's 14. For this one, it's all 17. This one, again, we can scroll down, we can see this information. This is probably 13. And again, if we scroll across, we're going to start to see these NAs popping up. And if it's easier for you to actually pull this out and export this information, again, all you have to do is just click right over here. So with that being said, I want to actually pass this over to Ian and Leo and explain what these additional features are, explaining rank, explaining relevancy, how this is actually going to be applied across the board when it comes to building your listing, when it comes to creating your title, when it comes to creating your bullet points, and even creating your PPC campaigns, because this is all extremely viable data.
Thank you, Joshua. Well, how it works is every day we scrape well, hundreds of thousands of ASINs, and we know their ranks. So by knowing their ranks, we know what's relevant. For us, relevancy is relevant to the search, right? It's not relevant to anything else, but being able to rank for that keyword. So if 10 out of 10 ASINs have 100%, if your relevancy is 100%, it means 10 out of 10 ASINs rank for that keyword, right? So that's how it works. And we process this large volume of data every day, and we populate this tool. Most tools out there, they just give you search volumes, for example, but very often you have a high search volume, or you think that this keyword is relevant, but it's irrelevant because your competitors don't rank for it, right? So that's how this tool came to life. So what other questions do you have?
When it comes to this tool, what I've noticed with other tools out there is that they either have a cap of 10 ASINs or they're pulling information that is 6 months old and it's not really historical data. It is historical data for them, but it's not relevant and it's not accurate and it's not what people are actively searching for. So I would like to ask you this in regards to this tool. When it comes to new keywords that pop up on Amazon for newer products, are we also scraping for those as well?
Yeah, every day we scrape. So if new products come up, they will show up here, right? So if you're on the first page, eventually you will show up here. So it's a live tool. Every day there is new data. But other tools, well, everybody knows, or many people know Cerebro, for example, they work differently. They don't scrape your rankings. They just take advertising data from Amazon Advertising API, I believe, or some other sources, and they just sort the data by search volume, right? Very often you have a huge list of keywords, but it's not, why do you need keywords? You want to rank on Amazon, right? So it's not related actually to ranking of your competitors. Rather, it is related to what Google, meaning what Amazon is suggesting you should be bidding on in advertising, right? And it's not very often it's not very relevant. So our tool is our own data from ASINs that we are scraping and ASINs we are tracking their ranking for. So that's why it's different. It's completely different mentality and completely different approach from other tools.
And what's really impressive about it is how quick it is. Because again, this is a live scrape. With other tools, you might have to pull in 2 or 3 lists and somehow combine them all, put them in a spreadsheet, then run a pivot table, then run your own relevancy check and have to know all your formulas. We're doing all that for you and we're making it extremely easy. So I want to really roll in the ranking factor right over here. How does this come into play?
Okay, this is a maximum rank that we are checking for. So if this is 300, it means we are checking the ASIN down to position 300. So, right, if you want to have a smaller list, you're going to make this number smaller. If you want to make a bigger list, you're going to make this number bigger. 300 being maximum. That's as far as we go with our scrapes, right?
And what would you suggest is the best rank to target when, let's say, building your listing? Because those are going to be highly relevant keywords.
First of all, I suggest to take a 2-word keyword, key phrase, right? Not 4-word. And then you can play around with the maximum rank, right? But you don't really have to do it because you see the positioning of ASINs in top results. So as long as you take relevancy, high relevancy, you'll have very relevant keywords, right? I would say 100%, 95%, down to 80%. These are the keywords that you should target in your title and in your bullets, right? Everything else is the keywords that you should populate your, maybe a target on your PPC, maybe populate your text, maybe put in the backend in the keywords fields.
And then further on down the line, obviously, if it's roughly around 50% relevancy, you'd probably put that in your product description. Yeah,
your best list goes from 100% and down. So those are your best keywords. Obviously, you should check with the keyword, with the search volume. Maybe it's a very low search volume, and maybe you don't want to take that keyword, even though it's 100% relevancy, right, or 90% relevancy.
So I see some good keywords right over here. That's some pretty good exact search volume and some broad search volume right over here. And this would be a perfect example of a keyword that you could easily put in your description, or you could put in your bullet points right over here. Because again, this is the exact search volume, 2,300, broad search volume, almost 4,000. We see the products competing between. And if we scroll across out of these 17, again, we're going to see some people are just abysmal with their rank right over here. This person's on page 1, this person's on page 2, this person's on page 6. And then we start seeing a bunch of not applicables coming through. So let's talk about the percentages at the top. And I know that I gave a brief example of this when it came to that, is that this is letting us know the percent based on all the total keywords that were factored in our reverse ASIN with relevancy in place, how many keywords that they're actively ranking for. What would you say that people would do in regards to jumping through these gaps? Because we notice a large percentage gap in between these.
Yeah, basically, the higher the percentage, the more keywords the ASIN is ranking for, right? You want to take that ASIN and analyze everything what they do. Take 2-3 ASINs that have high percentage and see what they put in the bullets, what they put in the title. Those are your ASINs that you should be analyzing for your listing building, right? So yeah, it's a very good metric.
And again, this is giving you guys opportunities to actually know where all the weak points are with your competition. And again, this is a 30-day check. So we're not doing long form data that's 6 months old, a year old, any of that. This is, again, a rolling 30-day check to let you know how your competition is doing. If you already know who your competition is, you could easily just paste in those ASINs right over here, and then you can just run that search. You don't even have to factor in, you can just put in your seed keyword, factor all that in, adjust your rank, adjust your relevancy, obviously check to make sure that you're in the correct marketplace, and then get that information to be able to analyze how well they're actually performing based on all the keywords, based on the seed keyword right over here, and how they're performing overall on their listings. And with that information, you can just find the gaps that are in here. So these two are pretty head to head right over here. This one's not too far behind. This one, I would say this person's definitely trailing behind. So let's actually find a nice gap in between this data.
See, Josh, to me, this information is really powerful because one, it saves me a ton of time by not having to run reverse ASIN across multiple different keywords and then download it into a spreadsheet and then sort it all by relevancy and kind of come up with my own formulas. What this tool does is it's really comparing the rankings for every keyword across, 10, 20, whatever keyword products you choose, and saying, okay, if all of the products are ranking for this keyword, it's 100% relevant. If only 50% of products are ranking for this keyword, then it's only 50% relevant. So this is how we weed out keywords that don't really match a search or the product, or they might be a seasonal thing like men's gifts. Okay, that might only rank for a few of the products, so it's less relevant than mason jar soap dispenser, right? So utilizing this list and sorting by 100% relevancy, you really can create a top 100 keyword list within a matter of seconds that are the exact keywords that all your competitors rank for and that you need to rank for as well. And then, as you're saying, what you're looking at right now, you scroll through this list, you find some gaps, you find out where your top 3 competitors are not ranking for. Maybe that's the keyword that you go after if there's enough search volume. So like you're saying, if you find, if you scroll over to the left and we scroll down and find some of that search volume that has, 70% relevancy, or, your top 3 ASINs are not ranking for, then those are good ASINs those are good keywords that you can actually go after for your listing, and put that in your title and use that for your ranking, because you're gonna have a better chance of ranking for a keyword that your competitors are not ranking for, right? And converting. So you want to look for those opportunities there. But with this tool, after just putting in one keyword, you're able to generate a very good list without a bunch of irrelevant keywords, and use those to build your listings, to build your PPC, to build your backend keywords, within a matter of seconds.
And I would say, just to piggyback off of what you said, especially when it comes to men's gifts as being a seasonal item. So if you're doing something like that, maybe a perfect time to do that would obviously be a month or 2 before Father's Day, right? Obviously it's a men's gift, or even before Christmas or Thanksgiving, or let's say the typical time frame when people actively get married throughout the year. Whenever that is. I know if there's a marriage season somewhere in the United States. But with that being said, based off of this relevancy right over here, as Leo was mentioning, obviously anything that's 80 to 100, you'd want to go after those for your title. And what Ian was saying, 70 all the way down to, let's say, around, I would say 55. This is information that you can put in your product description. And then anything after that, you could put that in, your bullet points. And then anything after that is going to fit in your product description, because on Amazon, you're actually getting ranked higher based on what keywords are in your listing. So obviously, having keywords that are indexed and relevant in your title are going to be more beneficial to your listing versus having them all the way down. So if you're having a highly relevant keyword like this one, mason jar soap dispenser, and you have that in your product description, it's probably not the best place to put it.
Well, Joshua, you see these numbers because you picked a very narrow keyword.
Mhm.
If you would put their elderberry gummies, for example, the 100% would be all first page, right? Because there's way more keywords related to elderberry gummies and way more ways of describing the same product. Yeah, try it. Then
Choose 10.
no, choose 20. So it will extend the list. So it will take a bit more time to scrape the data, I believe.
Elderberry gummies for kids. I hope those are delicious.
Yeah, and when you do this, you want to actually check if the products are relevant to what you are launching or to what you're trying to. Okay, you reached 20 ASINs.
Yep. Just wanted to show, because right over here I have the video tab at the bottom. So in this case, I'm just grabbing the top 20 of the single packs right over here.
Or you, yeah, I mean, and what you did there, really, you want to make sure you grab all the ASINs that are exactly like your product. You don't want to pick irrelevant ASINs, 3 packs, you know, colors that are different, because then you're going to get keywords that might be like, you know, yellow elderberry gummies and you're selling purple ones. So you don't want to have those keywords show up because you don't have that product. So it's really important that you pick ASINs that match the product that you're selling or, you know, going to be selling.
So let me just go through this list and I'll just update it real quick. Flintstones, we got to pick that one.
Also, try to pick ASINs that are mature. You want to pick the ones with more reviews, with like more developed branding, because a lot of ASINs jump on first page because of the launch, and they may not have enough data, right? They may not have very good optimization at all, right? So you want to pick mature ASINs when you're going through the scrape.
So what would you consider a mature review rate? Would you say anything that's over 300, anything over 500? Obviously, these ones with 86,000 right over here, they're breaking the bank.
Well, you clearly see that this particular product is, yeah, anything above 500 is a must here. Yeah.
So let me just go through. Obviously, this would be a perfect example of one that you wouldn't want to pick.
Keep going.
Yeah. Pick one more.
There you go. Hit done.
Oh, already capped out. Perfect. And again, then we just go right over here to this little gear. It'll pulsate to let you know when it's time to search.
Again, your relevancy, you limited by 40, but it's okay.
I can just go and reset that real quick.
That's fine. So anything below 40 means that, you know, only 40% or 38% of all the 20 ASINs that you just chose rank. So it's a less relevant keyword.
And then again, I'm just going to reset this table. And we'll just run another search with relevancy and we'll factor in rank. So when it comes down to the relevancy percentage based off of this list that we're able to pull off of a full list without factoring in the relevancy or the rank, where would you say is the cutoff line when it comes to pulling keywords for your PPC campaigns? Obviously, you're going to want some that are 100% relevancy, but where would you say is the through line? Would you say it's roughly after 40%?
Well, it depends on what kind of PPC campaign you're running. If you're running exact, right, or phrase, you want to go higher, right? If you're running low bids on, there is a method you can dump a lot of keywords, but you're running very low bids. Then maybe you want to go broader with much less relevancy, right? So, but it all comes down to PPC strategies, and that's a huge topic by itself. There is no definite answer here, right? So you have the data, how you use it. I can clearly say how to use it for the launches, right? Or for your links, for example, for the magic links. But for PPC, it's a whole universe. There is so many strategies.
Yeah, there are a lot of strategies, you know, whether it comes to broad, exact, phrase match, whether you're just having running auto campaigns, things like that. That's And that's a whole nother discussion that we could have while this is actually loading up. But it looks like it already took care of that. So with this, without factoring in any relevancy, we can see what the highest relevant keyword is right over here, elderberry gummies. Every single ASIN across the board is ranking for this, and they're competing quite heavily. So this is an extremely tight niche product, especially as a supplement. We can see a couple people ranking for third last 30 days, some for second, some for fifth. Then the second that we factor
the first one will always be 100%, Joshua, because that's what we are scraping for, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is, for example, second is zinc gummies, right? And you would probably never think about it. And all of them are ranking for that keyword, right? And there's a lot of competing products.
And elderberry gummies for kids. I wonder if that helps with sleeping.
All of them are ranking for elderberry gummies for kids. So maybe you want to include kids in your keywords. I don't know if it is relevant to your product. So
this one's great. Even a typo right over here.
Yeah.
You
see how many 100% are here? So all of these products, all 20 of them are ranking for this huge list of keywords. This is your master list.
And speaking of huge lists, this is 47,000 keywords that we're able to scrape. So let's start cleaning this up a little bit, because we don't really want all of this right over here. So we're just going to use our baseline 40%.
Oh, here you can go a little bit more, like 60%.
60%, be a little bit more aggressive with it. Well, let's pull in rank on this time as well. Let's do top 100.
So we're narrowing down, we're making a bit more precise list.
Let's see. Oh. A little bit of technical difficulties right over here. It should load up real quick. There it goes.
No, it doesn't load up real quick because every time it reanalyzes the data. So it's not a filter, it's actually you readjusted the tool. And again, we're pulling all the data with all the updates. So it can be different each time.
Leo, you're clearly the brain behind a lot of the technology that comes out with Elite Seller. What inspired you to create this?
Well, I've seen people doing these large spreadsheets where they were sorting and analyzing the keywords. They would use several different softwares to do that. And I thought, well, why not make a tool that does it in 1 second, right? All of that work. Because usually people would, with their keyword lists, they would spend so much time sorting it, analyzing it, what are the best keywords, where, etc. So we do it with 1 click.
And again, with factoring in 60% relevance, we were able to trim that list down from 47,000 to 1,000 keywords. Now, in Leo and Ian, in your personal experience selling on Amazon for many years, what would you say would be the de facto number to build a really strong list to launch a product?
Depends on the product. There is no answer to that. Obviously, more keywords for elderberry gummies and fewer keywords for your Jason jars.
Mason jars. Jason jars. I think those are something different for Halloween. Over there. I know that in some modalities and teaching methods, they say have 500 keywords for your launch list, and then you can break those up into smaller campaigns. Some people say 250 is a perfect example to go with that. In your experience, you don't have like a really clear frame as to what would be the best optimal number to go after, because again, this is 1,000.
The title is limited, right? So you can fit only that many keywords, and you have to be your title has to make sense also. The bullets kind of can be inflated, but I believe the cutoff there is 1,000 characters, right? And the number changes up and down.
Yeah, it's 1,000 characters now. I know it was a little bit more, and now Amazon's factored in 10 bullet points, 5 are being shown on mobile. So roughly squeezing in 100 characters for a bullet point. Obviously, don't stuff it with emojis because that's against TOS. We don't want you to do that. We don't want your accounts to get shut down or your listing to get removed.
What I've seen a lot
let's
of
just
people,
actually go here and start looking at this real quick.
A lot of people doing the bullets, they would put a phrase related, and then they would just stuff keywords in there. So they would put all the keywords that you can't really use it in a sentence that makes sense. So for example, your bullet point number 4, you would put related semicolon and put 20, 30, 40 keywords in there. And that actually works. I tested that.
What this tool really helps you discover is, you know, some unique keywords that are relevant to these products that people are actually searching for, right, with search volume. So if you scroll back to the left, and you're going to see basically the search volume for these keywords. You know, elderberry gummies is quite obvious, the main keyword, right? That's the keyword that most people will choose. But some people are looking for the niche of elderberry gummies for kids, or they spell elderberry gummy differently, or elderberry differently. So you can see we're finding some unique keywords that have maybe less competition, but have good search volume still that you might want to target. And if you're targeting those more than your competitors, then you have a better chance of ranking. So really, if you scroll down a little bit more, you're going to find even more search volume for certain different variations.
Wilderberry gummies, elderberry gummies.
Right.
We have elserberry gummies over here.
There are a lot of keywords on here that you could use for PPC in your listing that you might not have thought of, and other tools wouldn't discover. But because we're utilizing the ranking of every product that's similar to yours, and then comparing the keywords that each of those rank for, and saying if all of the keywords are ranking for, all the ASINs are ranking for a particular keyword, then it's relevant. So that's why these are 100% relevant, because people are actually ranking for bulk elderberry gummies. 100% of those actually rank for it. So they might have bulk somewhere in their listing, which you might not have thought about. And that's kind of how this works.
And then even elderberry gummies for toddlers. And what I find really interesting one over here is somebody actually, a lot of people are 100% relevant for this keyword, that how it appears in the Amazon URL. So again, this is interesting. They have a plus symbol in there.
What also is this tool good for? Well, I'm also in supplements, so it's good for product research. Obviously, if you're selling elderberry gummies, just by looking at this list, you may want to think to add zinc, because it's elderberry zinc has a lot of volume, right? And all of these guys are ranking for it. Or maybe you can come up with other ingredients that you didn't think about, but you may want to include into your product, right? So do that even before you launch your product, so that, or before you even order your product, so that you can investigate what you can add to your product.
And I'm
So
going to
you
answer.
would recommend using. Go ahead.
I'm going to answer a question from Martin live really quick. He asked, "What's a good relevancy to choose, or is it product specific?" And so, you know, there's not a relevancy to choose. It's the lower the number. So 100% is 100% relevant for all those products, and as it goes down, it becomes less relevant. So that doesn't mean that it's a bad keyword. It means that your competitors aren't ranking for it. So maybe it's not relevant to your particular product. But if you feel like it's a good niche and they're just missing the boat on it, then hey, that might be an opportunity for you to win, especially if there's search volume to it. Hopefully that makes sense to you.
And what this tool is also doing is giving you healthy price points for, again, what this category should be selling for across the board. So if you want to average this information out, and you can get an average price point of what you feel is going to be the best price point for you launching your product, maybe you want it to be a little bit lower since you want to gain some traction on your listing, this is a great way to actually do it. We're taking care of all that for you. And again, you can always just export it, run a filter real quick, and then you can just sum all this information. Again, right over here, the average review based off of this keyword, based off of all these listings. So again, this is really cool. And Leo, what I was about to say, you would actively recommend using the Reverse ASIN Plus to check your competition prior to ranking. How often would you say that you should use this tool? Because it's clearly very powerful, doing a lot of work.
Well, for example, if I'm launching a product, right, I already use this tool to build my listing and everything is fine. But during the launch, I would also go back to this tool and I would scrape the keywords, 100% relevancy keywords. I would dump them into the QR code and links, magic link, and I would use that link for my rebate key or elite seller VIP club. So for ranking. So that's another way of using this tool.
And remember, guys, the magic links, they can hold up to 5,000 keywords. So you just target your own ASIN, you paste in that keyword list. If you have it already saved in a text file, you can easily do that, or you can just copy and paste them right over there. And let's start skimming through some of this data a little bit further. So again, 1,000 keywords, Let's actually trim it down to, let's say 500. Let's get down to the top 500 keywords. Let's do that real quick. So I'm going to dial up this relevancy just a smidge more. I'm going to say 65. Let's see what it does. And you can just copy these keywords right over here to clipboard. So this is an even faster way to do it. You already know what your ASIN is. And
you can copy
again,
or you can export.
And since you already know what your ASIN is and you already know what your search history is based on these, we actually save that for you. So you can just easily go and you can pull up your old searches and you can just check on your competition month after month. Ian, how often would you recommend that somebody updates their listing?
Well, I like to follow the rule of it. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. So, don't change your listing, because every time you make changes to your listing, Amazon can and may reindex you for the worse. But if you're not crushing it and you want to adjust your listing, people are doing that more and more now. It used to be that don't touch it at all. But I see people do touching it. So, adjust your bullet points, add in phrases that are missing, make sure that you're checking, in our keyword tracker, you can see what keywords you're actually indexed for and what you're not indexed for. So, that's really important to know that, hey, why am I not showing up for elderberry gummies for toddlers? But it's because you don't have toddlers anywhere in the listing, but you might have kids and babies, right? So you might want to think about adding that keyword into your listing to make it more relevant.
Gotcha.
But yeah, really, build the best listing you can, find the areas of opportunities that you can using this tool, and target, the search volume. And then, you got to move into the proper launch and PPC. But you can easily export pretty much, the top 50% relevant keywords from this tool and throw that right into your PPC and start off with your best list of PPC keywords that you could target right off the bat that are 100% relevant to all, 100% to 50% relevant to all of your competitors. And all of a sudden, you now can get the first spot on each one of those listings pages for those search results.
Bede, what do you see as the most common questions when it comes to using the Reverse ASIN tool?
Of course, they are always comparing and they want to know how are we calculating everything. This is why it was really important for us to explain where are we taking this information from, like, hey, where are you taking the competing products? I think just how we get the information, and I think that we just need to explain how powerful and how accurate this is. So you can trust it and you can use it. So that's the biggest question, I think. And about the relevancy, which you basically explained, like, what's the relevancy? What should I put there?
Yeah, obviously that's extremely important, knowing what relevancy you should go after. So with this one right over here, since this is an extremely competitive product and it is in supplements, again, this entire search could easily change based off of me putting IES versus a Y, right? That all depends on whether you're going singular or you're going plural in this case. So I'm just trying to get this list down to around 500 keywords because I think that's extremely manageable, especially when starting off with a new product launch. What I actually wanted to touch on with this is when it comes to this search history that we're able to actually pull in. In your opinion, you were recommending, Leo, that you can find other products based off of the keywords that we're able to scrape.
Not products, but product ideas. Maybe you're targeting certain product, but you want to add something or you want to change something, and it's a good way to see what others are doing, right? It may not be that obvious just from the images and from the description, right? So
okay. And Ian, when you talked about getting potentially de-indexed by updating your listing too often, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Would you recommend running the split testing based on title and how it's actually going to work for buyers on Amazon? Because I know that that's a new feature that's somewhere deep in Amazon advertising where you can actually split test your title and split test your images.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, if you're just creating a new listing, you got to pick the best keywords, right? And then after a while, you're ranking, you've got sales, and you're trying to improve the listing overall. there are lots of things that you can do to increase relevancy, but it also might be that you need to improve your images, or you need to improve the way that you present the product features and benefits to the user. So it's not just about the keywords at that point. This really is how you determine what keywords you need to go after. But after that, just changing your title may or may not, improve your sales whatsoever. It's really, if you're actually indexing, meaning that your listing is showing up for those keywords that are main keywords, it doesn't matter where you put that phrase. And generally you're going to put your most important phrases, your highest search volume phrases in the title, next into the bullets, and then next into the description and EBC.
Perfect. So even right over here, we're seeing that a lot of people are even indexing based off brands, very popular brands. So we have Zal right over here. We have Zerabes right over here. And we have Havasu right over here. And I'm sure
I would be careful with that. Don't use,
Yeah, you really can't use other people's trademarks in your listings. So, you will get flagged by Amazon basically if you do that. You can't put Nike in your listing for shoes, right? They will pull your listing. So, focus on really marketable keywords, highly relevant search behavior. So best elderberry gummies might be a good keyword to rank for versus just elderberry gummies where people are looking for a deal or particular information on a product. So, or elderberry gummies for toddlers is more specific than elderberry gummies for kids in general, right? So you want to make sure that you're targeting the niche that you serve and also what you think will be highly converting, because the most important part of selling on Amazon is having a highly converting listing, right? So if you have 10 customers go to your listing, how many of those customers are actually going to make a purchase? Because that's your conversion rate. That's your unit session percentage, which we also track up on products in Elite Seller to see how well you're doing. And you want to basically make sure that if you're not converting at 15, 20, 30, 40%, then you have work to do on improving your listing quality and also the targeting of your listing to the niche.
And a really interesting way to actually be able to check yourself in comparison to all your competition is, again, you can throw your own ASIN up in there and you can see how well relevant you are across the board for a lot of these keywords. And that's you can easily pick your own listing out of there. So what I find really interesting is, again, the ability to discover other products right over here. So while we're searching elderberry gummies, we can see lozenges right over here. That's obviously very popular. And then again, you have Sambuca. I wouldn't recommend actually putting that in elderberry gummies. Again, I'm not giving you nutritional advice. I'm just saying Sambuca tastes terrible. And anybody that's ever tried it, they'll actually actively know. So again, some keywords to stay away from, obviously ones that are with brands, but again, there's a ton of just massive information that you can glean just off of this list, right? Even people that are selling single packs are actively ranking for 2-packs right over here at 90% relevancy. So let's see which listing is not ranking for that.
Another cool thing about this module is that it is full of shortcuts. So if you want to go to Amazon and actually see which products show up with a specific keyword, not only these ones that you chose, you can click on the external link icon and you will go right away to the search. Or you can click on the ASIN to actually go and analyze a specific product of the ones you chose. So you can also copy the clipboard. As Leo mentioned, you can copy some keywords. You can select only the ones you want to start using right away. Copy them, go to the magic links section and create your magic links, or even add a couple of keywords to the keyword tracker. Just copy paste them into your product and start tracking those. Maybe you will find that you're indexed for a couple of keywords you didn't even know about and that you want to start ranking for.
And of course, it just had to be the Flintstone vitamins one that I chose earlier that happened to not be ranking for 2-packs. So shame on you, Flintstones. You need to put Barney on here and get some dueling bottles. So I think that'd be a great way to actually market to kids or market to adults with children.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions that we should any from the audience that would like us to answer anything about the tool or any other tools that we have? Feel free to.
Yeah, I would like to tell you the questions. So if someone is not looking at the Q&A, you can still see what our experts have to say. So is the Reverse ASIN tool now obsolete? Should only focus on Reverse ASIN Plus?
Well, Reverse ASIN tool is focused on one ASIN, right? It works a little bit differently. It gives a much larger list. But for keyword research, Reverse ASIN Plus, that's why it's called Plus. It's a bit better for your keyword research, I would say.
Nice. Do you have an idea of making listing building tool?
Yeah, Ian said that we don't have it, but actually we are actively working on the way to do it right. I've seen other tools and they're very basic, right? And what we want to do is a bit more intuitive, and that allows you to create not only the listing, but also helps you with your larger flat files and etc. So yeah, we're looking into this, and right now we're in research phase.
Nice. And how do you calculate the search volume? That's a secret, right?
Well, most tools out there, they just take the search volume from other search engines and apply it with certain damping factor or filter to the search volume and say this is Amazon. And you would see sometimes ridiculous keywords like elderberry information, right? And it would have huge search volume. But no, that's search volume for Google, not for Amazon. What we have is we had the privilege to have Amazon data for a while, and we built an algorithm based off that data. And now we are projecting all the new data based on that algorithm. So basically we have our own estimation tool of the search volume. It's based off Amazon. Yeah, it's very accurate.
Will you be sending the link for the recording of this webinar? Yes, of course, we will send it to you.
Make sure you can go over to our YouTube channel and you can watch the replay there.
Any other questions? Please feel free to post those in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen.
And if you want to get a demo with our team in the office, scan that QR code and go right to the link and book a time with Bere or Joshua or the other team members, and they will walk you through, you and your team, how to use Elite Seller in full. And it's really eye-opening when you learn how to use this tool, as we have so many different modules and features available, and it takes a little bit of support to make sure that you're getting the most out of it.
Yeah, and I would say before we wrap up, if you have any friends that are selling on Amazon and you feel that this information is going to be valuable for them, tag them in the comments below. Send them the YouTube link, get them to subscribe, just get them over here, because we're here to help. We want to make sure that you guys are successful on Amazon. And that can be challenging as the environment constantly changes. So we want to make sure that we have the best possible tools able out there in the marketplace to give you the best chance of being successful on Amazon. And if you guys have any other questions, again, feel free to reach out to us. You can comment below. You can comment in the group. You can, send a carrier pigeon over here to Mexico and get one of us, or you can just go to eliteseller.com, hit that little red box in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can reach out to our team right there on the spot. Thank you for joining us today.